When you enter in and engage in a flow state, no matter what it is, for some it's sports, some it's doing mechanics, working with their hands, artwork, design, teaching, whatever it may be, you just have this sense of ease and flow. And when you don't engage with worry, which is what I'm going to talk about today, worry warts. Are you a worry wart? It's going to be interesting because when you look at the origins of things, it's fascinating to me. And I'm the kind of guy that loves to look at isms and sayings and uh, phrases and then go, okay, where did that come from? When it's inspired and it hits you right in your core, then you go, ooh, light bulb just turned on. What if there's something in that? Have you ever done that? You've gone on this rabbit trail down this rabbit hole and you're like, oh man, this is good. And we begin to see something about ourselves. So everything that I'm sharing in this podcast is something that I've either gone through or am currently going through or know somebody that is, because everybody on the face of this planet can honestly say that they have worried in life. Now, even if you say you don't worry, you may not now because you've allowed the inner work to bring you to the state of non-worriness and calm and ease. But at some point in your life, everyone has, because the basis or the core of worry, the defined definition, if you will, is fear. Bottom line, insecurity, not feeling safe, not feeling secure. Worry is that it's all that blend, that mix of fear. It's at the core. Fear is at the core of everything. When we engage in the egoic side and listen to the programming. So I love doing this. And when you enjoy doing something and you're in a flow and it's just really makes you come alive, then you're not engaging with worry. You're not doing the dance with worry. It's just not a part of the flow. In fact, if your mind goes to worry, like who's watching, where's the money, what do I do about this? Or you're thinking about the kids, you're thinking about the problems and the challenges of the day or next week or next year. A lot of times we engage in worry in a grace that we don't have, meaning that we don't have grace to live in tomorrow. We just don't. There's no grace, there's no flow, there's no effortless ease. There is no ability for our body to process neurologically to remain in a easy state or a relaxed state when we take our mind and we place it in the non-grace of tomorrow. That's why there's a scripture that says, take no thought for tomorrow, for today has its own isms. In other words, take no thought for tomorrow. In fact, all such thinking is evil, meaning that it's misaligned. I like to say it that way. It's out of alignment with your true nature of who you genuinely are, because our breath has been given for the present moment, not tomorrow. Our life, another scripture says that our life is like a vapor, here today, gone tomorrow. It's like a vapor. What does that mean? Vapors come out of our breathing. It's our breath. So our breath is today. So when we are in the flow state, when we're enjoying what we're doing, regardless of the situations and circumstances, without the worries, you can't worry. You ever see a basketball player that's really in the zone, or a sports figure, whoever, and they're in the flow, they're in the zone, they're doing their thing. They're not worried about the bills. They're not worried about their kids in school or having an accident, or you would not be on your game if you were in worry, equaling fear, insecurity, doubt, unbelief, all those things wrapped up in it. It's interesting, isn't it? When we're engaged in something that we enjoy, that's a real enjoyment to us, whether it's a hobby, your creative flow, your entrepreneurial thing, all that creative juice is flowing, there's no fear, no worry. When you're really in it, when you're one with it, when you're engaged in it, when you're sinking into that area, right? There's no worry there. Ooh, isn't that a good indication, a good clue to us, to humanity, that we would do well to just feel good in the moment? Now, somebody might be thinking that's easier said than done, buddy. You don't know my problems. Bro, right there. Right there. Where did you just go? Where did you go? Huh. You left the moment. There is no worry in the present moment. And there's certainly no worry engaged in the moment in your creative flow. So where did you go? You went to the past, or you went to longing for a better future, and it's all worry. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about the past. I'm worried about the future. I'm worried, worried, worried. You know, Carson Daly, the guy that's on The Voice and has done a lot of things in show business, there's an article where he did an interview and he said that he always had anxiety as a kid and he still deals with it today. Now, here's a guy that's loaded. He's got money. He's got influence. He's a great guy, but he's filled with anxiety. There's plenty of stars out there, plenty of influential people that are filled and flooded with anxiety and worry. Anxiety, same thing, worry. It's just a little deeper of an issue because you can worry about something for a moment, it's light, and then you go in a deeper layer of it, anxiety, and then you go to full-blown panic attacks and fear, and then you're engaged in this full-blown neurological meltdown because you're like, whoa, I just sank into that rabbit hole and I didn't want to, but I did it because I can't help myself. I'm listening to programs. I don't even know that I'm listening to programs, but I'm listening to programs, right? And so here's Carson Daly, the guy that has money, influence, having a great time doing The Voice and other things. Got a lot of irons in the fire, and he's dealing with anxiety. Here's how I know that, and I knew this before I even read the article. I saw him kind of grinding his teeth, and if you watch The Voice now, you're gonna see it. If you watch, I love The Voice, but if you watch The Voice now, you're gonna watch his face. You watch his face, you're gonna see him going like this once in a while with his teeth, grinding his teeth a little bit or chewing on his teeth, you know, like his lips, and he's kind of going like this back and forth with his teeth because he's anxious. He's dealing with anxiety. Now, you could say, well, yeah, I would be too, talking to millions of people in front of the camera. No, he's got that down, right? He's anxious because he's listening to a pattern. He's watching the real play on the inside of him from his youth. Okay, and I love the guy. I think he's a good guy at his core, and everything that I've read and seen about him, I don't know him personally yet, but I just think he's a good guy. This isn't a knocking Carson thing. This is just a noticing something, right? And it doesn't matter. And the point being is, it doesn't matter how much money or influence you have. You could still be dealing with these things and worried about money, worried about whatever. And I don't know that he's worried about money. He could be. But just because you have lots of it doesn't mean you don't worry about losing it, right? A lot of people do. They worry about losing money. They worry about, how am I going to get this deal or that deal? How am I going to, feed my family for generations, because it's all on me now. All the weight is on me. And so living and swimming in anxiety is just not a fun place to be, is it? I have had panic attacks in the past before I even knew about this stuff and how to operate in it and how to live it. Had lots of panic attacks, especially when I was partying and drinking in my 20s a lot. It's just something about that alcohol, that poison in the system, hits your neurological system, and then you start thinking about all of your troubles, and then it amplifies. Your heart starts racing. You start panicking, feel like there's no way out. It used to happen to me in the shower quite a bit. I'm like, whoa, why do I feel like a trapped animal? Why do I feel like a caged animal? I'm closing, I'm claustrophobic. If you had panic attacks, you understand. Well, I was basically dwelling on my issues till they were driven into panic, right? So the question is, are you a worry wart? And can you really be free from worry? We're looking at this name, I started just chewing on this a little bit. And by the way, these messages, the podcast messages and things that I get, normally just fresh out of the oven that morning. And then I'm in a meditative state, I'm soaking, I'm listening, and then boom. See, you get creative ideas and flow when you're staying in the present moment. When you don't leave the day, when you don't leave the moment, things are creative. That's called consciousness. That's called creative consciousness. And when you're conscious, when you're in the moment, when you're be here now, when you are present, these things start popping open because that's where God lives in you in the moment. And so you're like, oh, I'm listening now. I'm not taking myself into a non grace moment in the future or a non grace moment of the past. I don't have grace for that. The grace is here now. It's open. The portal is open for creative flow. The juice is here. So then you open up and you're like, okay, there it is. So just started thinking about worry wart. Talk about worry wart. What is worry wart? Where did it come from? Well, it's interesting when you look at the origins. It's actually the term comes from the 1920s. It was a magazine called uh, geez, what was it? Out of hold on. It's called Out of Our Way. Out of Our Way magazine ran for about 50 plus years. And it had a picture of this little kid that they called Worry Wart. And it's interesting because it was in Adele Comics and it was a character called Worry Wart. It was a little guy, and he on the front cover of the magazine, you can look it up. Worry Wart. He's this little guy, and he's got a fishing pole, and he looks all a little raggedy, and he's got some fish floating behind on the fishing pole, and then cats running after him. Well, he was coined Worry Wart because he was a nuisance and an annoyance, and he caused others to worry. That's why he was called Worry Wart. So he was the wart, if you will, carrying the worry frequency to everyone else because he was an annoyance. Now, if you look at warts in the general on the skin, if you've ever had a wart, you know it's been an annoyance and a nuisance. In fact, when you hit it, spike it on something, it hurts. And it's ugly. It doesn't look natural on the skin. And you're like, oh, I want this off of me. Well, this worry wart kid was the guy that came into the presence of others. They're like, oh no, here comes worry wart. Now we're worried because he's going to be a nuisance. Now, I want you to follow me where I'm going with this. The frequency of worry is interesting because it's hovering around the same level as fear, and it's at the low end of the frequency scale. Okay, it's not a high vibe. It is not a high energy. It is low energy. We know this. This is common sense, right? Just think about worry. When I'm worrying, I'm downcast. I'm depressed. I'm looking down. I'm not looking up. I am in a state of paralyzation. I am numb. You know, all those things you could attest to that, right? You could attach to it. But when you look at worry in its emotional form, this is interesting. Some people have done some study on this, and this is out of a book that my wife has. And you know, you can look at the definitions. Dolores Cannon has some really great definitions on her site as well. And one of those definitions on 58magazine.com, you spell out 50 and then the number 8 and magazine.com. She has a whole list of these emotional what is the outcome emotionally and causes us to be in this state, or what does it represent at the core level in that egoic side of things of our life. And warts represents this, get this, little expressions of hate, belief in ugliness. It's a belief system. It's a BS belief system, and it's a belief in this ugliness from the inside out. It's kind of a self-hatred thing. Because when we have warts on the skin physically, what do we feel? We feel kind of, a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people feel like ugly about themselves. And this is why people say that saying, I'm coming to you with warts and all. Here I am showing up and on the date, warts and all. Meaning that, meaning that you're getting everything, baby. You're getting the whole package here, whether you like it or not, kind of expression. And so when we look at a wart, we don't like it. It's ugly on the skin. And we want it off of us. Most people do. Maybe some people don't give a rip. They don't care. Okay. Maybe they're more healed than others. I don't know. But the gist of this, or the whole point of the matter is that this is foreign to the skin. It's not a natural state of the skin. And it's derived completely out of the liver because the liver puts off toxins if our liver is not clean, and it will spread to the largest organ, which is our skin. That is the largest organ of the body. And when it comes and surfaces through the skin, it indicates there's a liver issue. So when we cleanse our liver, warts start disappearing. So do moles, by the way. That's a whole nother subject on health. My wife is really good at it. She's a detox specialist. We talk about these things a lot. But I'm looking at the emotional core issue and the egoic side of things, the conditioning, if you will. The emotional block, and this is out of the other book that my wife was sharing with me, really interesting. All forms of excrescences, however you say that, it's basically the form of the skin tag or the wart, same thing, emotionally speaking here when we look at the definition, are a fabrication of superfluous tissues on the body. These tags of skin indicate sorrow you have held onto for too long that prevents you from living in the here and now. Isn't that interesting? Now, I didn't even know this when I started getting these thoughts about what is a worry wart. So then I thought came to me, ask your wife, she's got this book, and then go through the definitions. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. As an overabundance of skin tags can be aesthetically displeasing, there's an underlying poor self-image, a distinct lack of connection with your own inner beauty. The location of the tags on the body will correlate directly to the psychological implications. Very fascinating, right? And if we look at the mental blocks, your body is telling you that it's time to see your inner beauty. Instead of living in the past, just mentioned that, right? Decide now to grow within according to your true needs. Let go of the belief that you wouldn't be a good person if you lived your life the way you wanted to live it. Turn the page, forgive yourself and others, and go forward. Amazing. Spiritual block and conclusion. To uncover the spiritual block that keeps you from responding to the needs of your being. It's really goes down to a deeper issue at the core level. It's like, in other words, to uncover something means to pull the blinders off or have them pulled off of us by surrender, by relenting to what we know to be true in our spirit. So to uncover those blocks means to, first of all, be self-aware and acknowledge it. Like, I have a literal wart on my skin. What are the roots of this issue? Instead of looking at it and just tolerating the annoyance or the nuisance. What's the core issue here? Do you ever say that to yourself? I hope so, because this really is the Conscious Man podcast. So this is where we're becoming self-aware to ask ourselves, what is the root cause? My wife and I are always talking about this. What is the root cause? What is the root cause? What is the root cause? There has to be a root here. There is a root cause to warts, physically, emotionally, mentally. Annoyances and nuisances. Worry is just that. It's an annoyance to the true state of who you are, right? So imagine somebody, little kid, knowing who they are. Let's just say a little kid knows who they are, or he's a little bit older, he's a teen, and he comes upon this worry wart in the 1920s. And he's like, what is he going to do? Is he going to entertain the annoyance? Is he going to entertain the nuisance? No, he's going to shift away from that frequency, maybe avoid it altogether, or cause his stature to override the nuisance in the room, within him and around him. He's going to posture himself in his super state of non-worry, because our super state, if you will, our spirit doesn't worry. Our spirit doesn't fear. Our spirit does not have annoyances. So when we allow our spirit to be the release of the spirit, one person said, the release of the spirit means to permeate those areas that are full of nuisances and annoyances so that they dissipate and integrate into the light, or dissipate into the light. When you welcome them into the light of who you are, the bigness of your super state there, your superstar spirit, if you will, however you want to coin it, the genuine you, the authentic you, then boom, it's exposed into the light. And guess what takes care of warts at their core as well as laser? Laser them off, baby. laser them off. And so the light of who we are takes care of the annoyances and the nuisances. And you know what's fascinating as well is on my other message about money, what to do when money's not coming in. I talked about the tree of knowledge and the tree of life. And I'll mention this all throughout the podcast because I think it's super important. It's the bedrock of what we believe and how we move and live and operate in this world in every way. Is do I have a belief to such a degree that I'm embedded into knowledge, the gain knowledge, the academia, the analytical side of things alone, or am I more in the tree of life, which is creativity and living in the here and now? Tree of life is really what the core of who we are and where we live is our spirit. Tree of knowledge is what's been programmed into us. Now, knowledge isn't bad in and of itself, but guess what? The tree of life, which represents love, trumps is knowledge. Love surpasses knowledge. So it's because of who we are. It's the core of who we are. And so because it does, it's always this war in between the ego and the spirit. There's this war that goes on. And one of them wins out in our day. We're either led by ego or we're letting and allowing spirit to bring things to us and cause a flow state to happen when we go through our day with joy. We're non-worry warts, in other words. But when we're embedded in ego and we don't know it, we're led by the fight, flight, and fear, we're led by the programs, then we're really living inside the tree of knowledge, if you will. And guess what the definition of the tree of knowledge is in the original language, in the Jewish faith, in the original Hebrew language? Annoyances and nuisances. So really at the core of it is worry. Think about this for a minute, guys. Think about this. I want you to just ponder this for a moment. Is when we live in fear and worry, we're always agitated. We're in an agitated state because that's our energy vibration. That is the level that we're at. We're agitated, irritated, we're angry, we're fearful, we are depressed. All those things kind of go to bed together, right? They're wonder twins of non-wonder. And it's a wonder why we engage in it. Because we've been programmed. We just think that we should worry. We think that's part of life. It's not. It's a part of a 3D life, but it's not a part of ascended life. When we ascend, when we awaken, when we enlighten, when we become aware that this is going on, then we're like, oh, that really is an annoyance. And it's filled with hard work. And so when we're looking at the tree of knowledge, okay, let's look at this from an academia standpoint. In America especially, and I know a lot of Western nations are engaged in this, and some third world countries even, where education is king. The normal route of university, college, collegiate education is king. Am I right? Of course. You're going to grow up, Johnny, and you're going to go to college. Your granddaddy did it. Your grandpa did it. Your grandma did it. I did it. You're going to do it. Or no one has gone to college in the family, be the first one, right? And so we look at it as if it is God to us. We look at it as if it is the goal in life is to go get an education, go get in debt. And if you're quote lucky or you're good at something, you might get a scholarship. You might get a full ride if you're a star football player. So that's the goal. That's the aim. That's the goal. Never mind what your major is and your minor because that'll come to you. Or I'm a doctor. You're going to be a doctor, little Johnny. You have to carry the tradition on. And so then we go through life in our programming because we want to please mom and dad. How many times have you seen somebody on a reality show said, I just want to please mom and dad. I just want to make mom and dad happy because they've done all this for me. I just want to make them happy. Well, what about you being happy? Are you on The Voice because you're happy, or you did there because somebody forced you and pushed you and coerced you to be there because mom or dad wanted to be a singer and they couldn't cut it, so they're pushing you into it? You can tell. You definitely can tell. If you have a shred of awakening and discernment in you, you can tell who's on that bad boy for the right reasons and who's not. You know what I'm saying? Hello. You can tell who's listening to mom and dad's programs and who is free as a bird. And 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 that is the tree of knowledge. It's like, I've gained this knowledge, I'm passing this knowledge on to you, and I expect you to take this knowledge and go further than I have in the tree of knowledge. And we don't stop to think that maybe our kids need to live in the tree of life, where all life is living and moving and having is being in the core of who they authentically are. Some people are smart enough to do that. Some people are awake enough to do that, I should say. And it's really an awakening to say, okay, do I want my kids to go on Dance Moms, or was that something that I did not fulfill and couldn't make the team? So I want little Susie Q to go on Dance Moms and get tortured by the dance mom. And because after all, we've got to beat it into you to be the artist that I never was. Hello. And I tell you, you talk about anxiety and worry that comes into that little child. They live by it because you've just empowered them to live by the tree of knowledge. You haven't caused them to live in a tree of creativity, which is the tree of life. Here and now, be here now. Right here, right now is creative flow in the tree of life, because it represents all things love. It represents all things you, genuine you. And so what we're looking at is a whole world that's opening up before us right now, a whole new era. We are ascending all over the world, and people are waking up to the fact that our university is really serving us well today. Now, I know I may be stepping on some toes for some of you that have PhDs and BSs and BAs and all the TTs and the MAs and the DDs behind your name. Okay, I get it. Great, awesome. You've accomplished some things. However, if you're miserable, maybe some people aren't. They love what they're doing, and that's fine. I'm not knocking that. I think if the more we get educated, the more we edge the here and now out. We have a tendency to, because we're living by knowledge alone. We're living by textbooks. We're living by something that was handed down. And some of those things just do not serve us well in a current modality that says we need new options. We need something to come out of nowhere, which it doesn't really come out of nowhere. It's all hovering right here, comes out of the spirit world, comes out of this pure consciousness that comes into and forms through the imagination into the reality of that operating room in that hospital. Sometimes we need some miraculous things coming through instead of a textbook, because textbooks oftentimes do not fit the current modality of what is now and what's unfolding. Hey, nobody knew what to do with COVID. I sat before 12 doctors, 12 experienced doctors, when I was in senior living when COVID hit. I was doing contract work in senior living. I go into buildings, and I was an ex-executive director, and I'd go in there and turn them around, operationally, be there to train staff and the whole bit. Oftentimes it was 100 staff or more. And 12 doctors stood in the parking lot in San Rafael, California, in the Bay Area, and they looked just shell-shocked, like they had just been hit with an atomic bomb, and they're like, what do we do? And in fact, they said it to each other in the parking lot. We're here to do a case study because we do not have a clue of what's going on with this COVID thing. Nobody did. And so it's like, okay, all of your education, and you don't know what to do with this strain. You don't know what to do with it. Now, not blaming them at all, because they just didn't know. Their textbooks did not have the answers to what was presently unfolding. And so they're worried. They're standing there worried. They're worry warts. They're filled with nuisances and annoyances by each other and by what's going on with COVID. And so they're like, what in the world do we do? Well, this is where an infused knowledge is really helpful. And that comes out of the creative now. That comes out of the here and now when we are moving past the egoic layers of programming and we're going, okay, my spirit has the answer if I just tune in and turn it on. Tune in and turn on, baby. Tune in and turn on. And then I'm right here. Boom. Ooh, just got an epiphany. Just got a divine flow. Just got a download. Just got a revelatory thing. Wow, here it is. Light bulb just turned on. Bam. What about this, docs? What about this, docs? And I did say a couple of things there because I was at that time starting to really see this thing for what it is, and my egoic layers were coming off, and I'm going, "Ooh, guys, I said this to the doctors, and I'm not a doctor, okay, in the natural." And so something came out of nowhere. I said, "Hey guys, why don't we do this, this, and this?" And it wasn't an answer to solve COVID ultimately, but it was, hey, why don't we do it this way by your observation? Why don't we go a little deeper here? And I know you guys have been trained. I can't even imagine what you went through your training, but why don't we listen a little deeper and watch a little deeper as to what's really happening here with symptoms, what's going on with how this thing acts, and it's going to take some time to watch and observe. Just by me saying that, by the frequency that came out, it caused an epiphany to happen in a couple of them. They're like, yeah, okay, we don't need to worry. You don't need to panic. Let's observe at a deeper level. Let's drop in and observe at a deeper level because we need answers from another realm. And it was amazing to watch it go right past that knowledge and into love because that's where love was unveiling something to the doctors and unveiling something to us all the time. And then it starts to dispense worry because we know at our core that there's a greater answer there. But it takes stilling ourselves. It takes going into play and releasing this anxiety and this worry and this fear to the degree that we're able, to the degree that we're awake. And it starts with really stilling ourselves and relaxing. Relax and release, someone once said. Relax and release, relax and release. And when we relax and we release, we begin to get answers from the real realm that we are made of. And that's love, that's consciousness. And it starts coming in, and then we can massage those ideas and then put them into inspired action, not a forced action, not an action that's out of worry and fear, doesn't have warts all over it. It's an inspired action right out of the spirit. And then we can authentically move on it and then watch what happens. Stuff starts popping open. Answers, real solutions. See, I'm all about the heart-centered way. And I really believe that we're moving into a time where we have heart-centered solutions and responses to many of the world's problems because the old egoic way, the 3D way, has served its purpose for its time, but now we've transcended that human-wide, worldwide, global-wide. We've transcended that, whether we realize it or not. And so now people are reaching into the realm that they're actually originally from in the spirit, and they're grabbing hold of those inventions, grabbing hold of those ideas right out of the heart, right out of the spirit, and they're presenting them now to mankind. One out of many, am here and I'm committed to unveiling the heart-centered way because the ego does not value other human life the way it was meant to be valued on the job, in the workplace, in your home life, all around you in society. It's all built upon hierarchy and pyramidal schemes that do not serve us at our highest frequency and our highest energy, the real authentic us. So, yes, we can really be worry-free by entering in, relaxing and releasing and engaging this playful, childlike sense of wonder that we are and receiving the infused knowledge so that we can engage in a worry-free existence. I believe that we are headed there as a society. The more we drop 18 inches down, the more we drop into this place of bigness, this place where nothing ends. It's the eternal realm of love, and you can't kill love. I said this on other messages, and I'll say it again. You cannot destroy love. You cannot kill it because God is love. Yeah. Yeah, many people have tried to reach up and to strangle God or to take God out. Yeah, good luck with that. It's not happening because God is within you. It's what you're made of. So you ever heard that they could kill the body, but they can't kill the spirit? And that's true. They can't kill your ideas. They can't kill the creativity. They cannot kill the flow. They cannot kill the genuine you. You can kill everything on the outside of it, your body, the anatomy, but nobody can kill what you're holding true. It's like you can't kill joy to someone that knows how to anchor in joy. You can't kill it. You can't destroy it. You can try. You put them in prison. You can beat their brains out. But people who know who they are, they know who they're one with. They know how to operate in joy. They know how to operate in peace. They know how to operate in creative flow. They know how to be themselves. You cannot destroy it. Can't. It's consciousness. Try to reach up and destroy consciousness. Reach out of yourself and reach into yourself. You can't. Can't do it. It's impossible. So we may as well invest in what's investable. The 401k, buddy, that cannot be depleted. That is the true sense of wealth. That is a true sense of abundance. It's the inside job. It's the inside 401k that has no end to its coffers. It has the deepest wells, and it is wide open to be filled and to be dispensed through service, through what you enjoy doing. So we can be worry free. Worry is just an inside job of how we see ourselves and the ugliness of the warts that we believe that we have, but they're really illusions. Yeah, well, a wart's an illusion, John. Yeah, right. It's on my skin. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about spiritually and emotionally here. The ego, the things that we hold on to from our past, the things that anchor us into this worry that drives us nuts, are simply the program saying that I'm in charge. And this is reality. It's not reality, it's an illusion. Because the truth of the matter is that all things are taken care of. They may not be according to your perspective or your wants and your desires exactly the way that you wanted them, because you didn't realize that you were anchored into a level and a paradigm that said it has to be a certain way. But then you grew and expanded past that, and you're like, I don't want that Tesla anymore, that I was so driven to have, that I so wanted, that I did all the right things energetically to pull it in magnetically, and it's just now I don't want it because I've just descended past it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the more we expand, the more we see this for what it is, the more we become our authentic true selves. We're not going to want certain material things anymore. They change, they shift, they adjust, they move, because we're aligning with our true self. We're aligning with our true nature. And when we do, then the worry dispenses. And then what did we want according that was attached to worry? What did I want in my life, materially speaking, or even relationally, did I want that was attached to worry? So think about it this way. Some of you are worried about an old ex that you just can't get over, and you want them back in your life. And you're worried about it because you're anchored in a certain consciousness level. You're anchored into your ego saying it has to be this certain way or I won't be happy. I've got to have lusty Linda in my life, or I've got to have loose Larry wandering around, or I won't be happy. And they went away for a reason, guys. She went away for a reason. And you thought it was you blowing it, right? You may have blown it. You may have made mistakes. We all do. However, people are removed for a reason. We're ascending, we're expanding, we are waking up. And when we wake up, some people just don't want to wake up because of their will. You have a free will, and you're powerful to manage it any way you want. You are a powerful individual. You can manage your will any way you want. You can choose what you want in life. And so you can try, right? You can be attached to worry in a relationship to the degree where it will drive you nuts if you don't have that person in your life, but yet they were removed for your benefit to bring something better at a higher level, at a better frequency, at an expanded state of who you are. Were you authentic around Loose Linda? What were you? Could you be yourself? Could you genuinely be yourself, even at the level that you were at? Could you be yourself? Could you genuinely be the authentic you? Well, if you couldn't, then there's somebody coming that is better that will match you at a higher state authentically. Because I tell you, this gets really fun and it gets really adventurous and really good when we wake up and we can genuinely be ourselves. And I'm not talking about the nuisances and annoyances of that egoic self being ourself. That's one level, because then you attract what you're like. You attract who you are. You attract who you are. And if you were an annoying annoyance yourself, you're going to attract annoying annoyances. You're going to attract the worry warts. You're going to attract all kinds of warts, genital warts, everything else, right? You're going to attract them all if you, in fact, lived in that worry wart state. But when you transcend that, the warts fall off in more ways than one. The warts fall off, and you begin to anchor in to a new place, a new level, a new expansion, a new frequency, new energy. And you're like, whoa, look what I'm attracting now. Not so much the loosey gooseys. I am attracting the tidy Tinas. You know what I'm saying? So I'm attracting, I'm attracting the good things in my life, is what I'm saying. I'm attracting all things good. And I'm starting to see the wonder of what this means to my life. I'm starting to have adventure like I never have before, because I tell you what, guys, you want adventure, you want to be wild at heart, like they say. Every guy needs that wild adventure once in a while, whatever that is. Maybe your wild adventure is creating a new computer game. Okay? It's different for everyone. So you want to know what the wildest adventure is actually coming to know who you really are and living authentically to that. There's nothing more fun than being in the flow state of authenticity. Nothing more fun. Ask anyone that's in their flow. And then you get to go and do and be and have your being in the adventure of that. You become the adventure. You don't start looking for it on the outside. You become the adventure, and then everything else is just a cherry on top. Meaning that when I enter into and I allow the egoic layers to fall off, be healed, integrate, take the back seat, real me comes forward. I not only lose the worry and the warts, I become adventure. You can have a party all by yourself in your car driving down the freeway, and everybody else is cutting you off and flipping you off and going into road rage. And you could be having the adventure of a lifetime, because joy is adventure. Joy is your true state. The joy of God is my strength. It is our strength. It is our adventure. It is everything. And then when something comes in magnetically and effortlessly, hey, I know you like snowmobiling. You want to go on a snowmobiling trip? All expenses paid. Couple of buddies of mine want to go. Don't worry, you'll love them. It's going to be a great time. And then something in you leaps and it's inspired. It's like, oh, there's adventure on the outside now. I'm having a party right here. Now you could take it or leave it, but why not go have the adventure because you love snowmobiling? Do you know what I'm saying? This is an upside down kingdom, guys. This is putting the cart back where it belongs, behind the horse. This is the horse power coming through. And then the cart is bringing the healed ego in the back, and he's in the back waving around as you're going full gallop on that horse, and he's going, woo! This is a blast. Thank you, Daddy. Little Johnny's healed. And he's having the time of his life riding behind the full gallop stallion, the Frisian, just flying through the water, right? So yeah, we can live a worry-free life. And we're starting to, people at different levels. Look, I'm still, it's still unraveling and coming off of my life. I'm still entering into a non-worry existence, a worry-free life. I don't have any warts on me physically. Cleaning up the liver naturally, cleaning up the liver spiritually. And it's a fun trip. It's a fun ride when we live in the here and the now, where all adventure abides. All adventure lives right in the here and the now. Then you get impulses. You get epiphanies. You get ideas, you get inspired action. When we become the state of joyful adventure, when we become that by relenting surrender, learning how this works by infused knowledge, operating in it, then the inspiration to put your hands to something happens. See, the only way I can do this podcast the way I'm doing it right now is only going to get better and better and better. I just know that because I'm expanding, I'm growing. And as one guy that I love and appreciate and just think he's a great guy says, evolving out loud, evolving out loud, right? So we're evolving out loud to the level that we see our true selves to be, and then when that opens up to us in our consciousness, when we see the programming and then we see it and we're living in the here and now, we're like, ooh, this gets better and better, and then the flow continues to be brought from that genuine spirit state out into the mic, into video land, YouTube, and the rest, all throughout social media. And then other people see the frequency, they can catch it, and they sense it, and they're like, "Whoa, what did that person just say? What did he say? What did she say? Ooh, I just caught that. I was not taught that. I caught that. I caught that at the same frequency. I caught that at the same energy, and now it's inspiring me to become that and then take action in whatever it is that bubbles up." Isn't that interesting? Because everything's energy. It's an energy game, guys. It's an energy game. So, you're not a worry wart, are you? Not now. Not now. Look at the pictorial of the magazine in the 20s, and you'll see. You'll see the magazine. Let me remind you of what the magazine name is. It's called Out Our Way. Out Our Way with the Worry Wart. With Worry Wart. And you'll see it's by Dale Comics. Starts in the 20s and goes through the 70s. What a 50-year span. And that's something. But yeah, interesting. You are not a worry wart. I'm going to speak that and say that right now over you. You're not a worry wart. You are wart free, and you're worry free to be the real authenticity you are designed to be. That's who you are. Remember who you are. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening and watching. And I'll see you 18 inches down on the next episode. Have a wonderful worry wart free day.